Tariffs are here, and while we know that they are going to have a massive impact on the car market, car sales, and car prices, one question that I think many people, especially those who watch this channel, are probably asking is how are tariffs going to affect car sharing, Turo, and rental cars? So let's talk about it. Now, before I dive into that, I do want to remind you guys that I have my course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, which is a course that teaches you everything that you need to know about starting and scaling a car sharing fleet with the exact same business model that I use. In the course, we go over literally everything that you need to know, from how to identify and buy below market value deals, how to negotiate your deal and conduct a thorough PPI, how to take listing photos and set up your listings so you can get maximum bookings, and how to implement systems and processes so that your business is truly passive and you can make money whether you're working, sleeping, or on vacation. Not only that, but we are constantly updating the Car Sharing Masterclass, and over the last year, we added an entire section on co-hosting, including contractual templates that you can use with your own fleet, and in a few short months, we're going to be implementing an entire direct rental section so that if you want to explore direct rentals on top of Turo, you have the resources that you need in order to do that. We have a huge update coming in the month of August, and as a course member, you get grandfathered into all new iterations at no extra cost ever. Best of all, whenever you're a course member, you get access to our private Discord, our monthly Zoom calls, and we offer a robust, no questions asked, 30-day money-back guarantee so that you can literally give it a try at no risk to you. To check out the Car Sharing Masterclass, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description below, and you can use the code OFFER100 for $100 off. So first and foremost, it is important to note that tariffs will and are absolutely going to have an impact on the car sharing economy and car rentals, and depending on what type of business model you lean into with your own fleet will ultimately dictate what type of impact your fleet has. Let's first talk about the obvious, which is car prices. Turo hosts buy cars, and whether you buy used cars like me or new cars for your fleet, no matter how you slice it, car prices will go up, which means that buying cars will be harder, more expensive, and you'll need to pay more attention to ROI than ever. It also means that if you are someone who has vehicle purchases planned on the horizon for your fleet, I probably would encourage you to buy those cars sooner than later. In the last month or so, my team and I have purchased a number of cars, including this Mitsubishi Mirage, this BMW, Hyundai Tucson, and this Odyssey. All were purchased with the idea that if prices go up, we want to be in a good spot and we don't want to miss our chance on buying cars in the near future. Now, the good news here is this, and this is something that we talked about in a different video just a couple of weeks ago, and that is that as we sit here today, car prices across the board aren't really going up. Sure, there are some manufacturers that have started increasing their prices to adjust for tariffs. And there are plenty of used car sellers that are wanting to seize the moment, rack their prices up in hope of making a quick buck. But the reality is dealerships across the country have a ton of cars on their lots that were imported here before tariffs went into effect. These are cars that are not going to see an increase because of tariffs. There are also a number of different automakers that have decided that they are not going to increase prices on their cars, at least for the time being. A handful of these include Hyundai, Genesis, Mercedes, Ford. These are all automakers that have vowed not to increase their prices until May, June, or July. Of course, this depends on the specific automaker. And until automakers increase their prices, well, the used car market isn't going to increase too much either. So if you are someone who is wanting to buy a car, either for yourself or for your fleet, and you're wanting to make that purchase soon, you don't have to run out to a dealership and do it tomorrow. You do have some time. The other thing that I think is important to note is that tariffs are an extremely volatile situation. I don't know if tariffs are going to be in place in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, let alone a year from now. And as recently as last week, there were discussions of offering exceptions on certain tariffs, with auto parts and potentially automakers being a part of these exemptions. Now, I'm not going to hold my breath that tariffs are going to go away, but I also wouldn't bet my life that they're here forever either, which means that if you aren't wanting to buy now, you may not have missed your window. And so the point I'm trying to drive home here is that as a Turo and car sharing host, tariffs will absolutely have an impact to anybody who's looking to grow their fleet. If you pay more for a car, you're going to have to make more money, your costs rise, the points of entry rise, it affects it across the board. But the good news is that because of the volatility associated with these tariffs, we don't really know exactly how long they're going to last, at least in their present form today. And if you are someone who's looking to buy, you still have some time in order to do that. But the other reason why tariffs are going to have an impact in the world of car sharing and car rentals, aside from actual car prices, comes down to the affordability of cars. And this is where, depending on what type of guests you cater to, there could be some potential hidden benefits to tariffs. And just the overall increased cost of keeping cars on the road today. You see, if you cater to local renters with your Turo fleet, then you are probably very familiar with people who rent cars because their cars are either broken, they don't have a car, they can't afford one, or their car is in the shop. For example, a huge portion of my Turo renters really fall into two categories. A person whose car is in the shop either for a short repair or a long repair, and they are looking for a car to drive in the meantime. This makes up a huge portion of our renters. Another segment of our renters are people who just can't afford to buy a car. They would rather cash flow that car on a daily basis rather than putting down money and paying a $500, $600, $700 monthly payment. Even though they are paying more through Turo, the ability to cash flow that on a daily basis works for them. This is another large portion of our renters. And as cars become more expensive, as getting cars repaired becomes more expensive, or parts delays end up becoming common, people are going to rent more cars on platforms like Turo for longer periods of time more often. Now, this is not to say that I want cars to become more unaffordable so that people rent more cars, but it is to say that, like with anything, there is opportunity here. But of course, as I've mentioned, car repair is a complex issue when it comes to tariffs, because as we all know, not only are cars more expensive as a result of tariffs, but car parts are as well. And while the actual labor to get the work done on your car won't be more expensive, or at least it shouldn't be, parts will be. And as a Turo host, parts, whether you work on your car yourselves or you take your car to a shop, parts are a big portion of your business. And here are some of the ways that me and my team are preparing for it that potentially you can implement with your own business as well. On those parts that you know that you're going to have to replace sooner than later, it may be a good idea to stock up on those. Maybe you have a lot of the same car, or maybe you have a car that just needs specific parts replaced often. Buying those in advance and in bulk, and even better if you can do it when they're on sale, is a great way to save some money. And doing this before that tariff is implemented in May would be the best thing to do. You can also learn where to buy parts at the best prices. Obviously, in the era of tariffs, Chinese parts are most likely not going to be a great option. Not that Chinese parts were ever a great option, but knowing different part suppliers and knowing what types of part suppliers have the best parts at the best prices, it's not only going to allow for you to get parts quicker, but it's also going to allow for you to get the best deal. Of course, we have O'Reilly's, AutoZone. You can do Rock Auto, or you can even go junkyard or used through a route like eBay or car-part.com. All are excellent solutions. And of course, in today's day and age, saving where you can goes a long way, so buying while things are on sale or getting corporate accounts can make a huge difference. I've talked about corporate accounts multiple times on this channel, but we get corporate accounts with basically every single vendor we possibly can. They're free, they only require you to have an LLC, and sometimes all you have to do is fill out a simple form. Other times you have to bring like a business card or something showing that you're associated with that business. But regardless, whatever place you go to set up a corporate account will tell you what they need, and it's pretty easy. We set them up in the parts department at dealerships, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Advanced Auto Parts, Firestone, and Discount Tire. All of these vendors, but so many more, have the ability for you to create a corporate account with them, and with that corporate account comes some pretty good discounts. Some of the discounts aren't great, others are pretty good, but the bottom line is they add up, and if you're someone who's wanting to watch how much you're spending, then not getting a corporate account is simply stupid. You should absolutely do this. You will save money in the long run, and it really doesn't require any extra work. And along these lines comes preventative maintenance, which may not be something that you think of in the world of tariffs, but it absolutely does apply in the context of auto parts. Preventative maintenance is the best way to avoid major issues with your car and catching things before they snowball and become larger issues. Sure, this comes down to routine maintenance, like oil changes, for example, but it also comes down to being able to identify when parts or repairs are coming due with your vehicle. Maybe you're driving it and you're hearing a noise and you know that that's something suspension related. If you know what to look for, you can be aware of a potential problem that could be arising. You could order parts for that car far in advance, and you don't have to go to your local parts store because something broke and now you're scrambling to fix it. Being able to pre-plan on the different repairs and preventative maintenance that needs to be done with your car is one of the best ways to save money. At the end of the day, with anything, macroeconomic policies like tariffs are absolutely going to affect every single industry in some way, shape, or form. In car sharing, Turo and rental cars are absolutely no different. But I firmly believe that if you are someone who pre-plans, if you buy smart, whether that be cars or parts, and if you have a stable business model with longevity, you won't be negatively affected by what's going on. But of course, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this and what you guys are doing in order to prepare and adjust to this tariff situation. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.